The mic is on, wouldn't it? There it is. Now, please welcome our club secretary, Alan Bernstein, Director, Client Solutions, Pace Marketing Communications, who will now introduce our head table and visiting Rotarians. Alan?
Thank you, President Jay. Good afternoon, Rotarians. It's good to be with you again today. It is my privilege to introduce our head table guests. Please stand as I call your name. Our distinguished speaker today, Terzian. Jim Hoyt, Principal, Producers Group International, and he's today's program sponsor. Jeff Silberman, Attorney, King, Holmes, Paterno, and Berliner, LLP, who will be introduced as a new member today, and his sponsor, Paul Netzel, past RI Director, past District Governor, past LA5 President, and member of the nominating committee for the selection of the next President of Rotary International. DJ Sun, District 5280 Future Vision Transition Team Fundraising Group Leader. Arthur Cassell, CEO of Flexicizer International, Vice Chair of Programs, and Executive Producer of last week's mayoral debate. Eric Weiss, President of Honey Sweet Productions and event producer of last week's mayoral debate. And Rick Gibson, Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer, Pepperdine University, and Public Relations Co-Chair. Lastly, John Lockhart, President, People Media Worldwide Incorporated, and Public Relations Co-Chair. Please give a warm LA5 welcome to our head table guests. Do we have any visiting Rotarians with us today? Visiting Rotarians, very good. If so, please stand. Tell us your name, the name of your club, and let us know if you have a flag to exchange.
Hello, my name is Susan Burke. I'm with the Rotary Club of Beverly Hills, and I'm going to be the president for our next year.
Susan, way to go! Other visiting Rotarians. Okay. Would all guests and their hosts please stand at this time as the Sergeant-at-Arms circulate throughout the dining room. With each host, please tell us the name of your guest, what company they work for, and where they're from. Please make sure to give the Sergeant-at-Arms one of your guest business cards. There'll be a drawing for a bottle of wine here at the end of the meeting. Thank you very much.
My guest is there, Kathy Geller, and she's visiting. She's a parent at my children's school, at her child's school, Pilgrim School. Thanks for coming, Kathy.
Kathy, thank you for being here. Yes.
Hi, I'd like to introduce Michael Simon, my business partner, who wants to know what I do every Friday. I'm not at work. Michael lives in Agoura, has 3 children, and he and I partnered since the beginning of this year. We've known each other for over 30 years.
Thanks for coming, Michael. Dave, thank you.
It's my privilege to introduce a colleague of our speaker, Terzian. My guest is Jim Joyer, the Vice President of Media and Crisis Services for Terzian Associates.
Thanks, Jim, for joining us.
I'd like to introduce my daughter, Jessica Ellis, who is the Executive Director of Los Angeles nonprofit People for Parks.
Jessica, thank you for joining us. Where's the mic? Okay.
Hi, my guest here is Andrew Easton from Palos Verdes, and he is a consultant with Ernst & Young right here in downtown LA.
Thanks, Andrew, for joining us.
Hi, our guest is Andy Lee. He is from New York Life, and he is the chair of the Young Executives of the City Club.
Thanks, Danny, for joining us. Yes, you.
Hello, everybody. I have Ron Getty with me from LAUSD. I have Michael Naktika from Gumball Foundation. And I have Ezekiel Olvera, who is the CEO and president of Gumball Foundation.
Very nice, Ron. Michael and Ezekiel, thank you for joining us.
Hello, my guest today is Jim Nagel, principal of Nagel & Associates, and he joined us last week at the mayoral debate, and was anxious to find out what a regular meeting is like. So.
Welcome back, Jim. Okay, you're being reeled in.
Hello. This is my guest, actually my mother, Tiguna.
Bravo.
She moved to Santa Monica from Denver.
7 or 8 years of Rotary, she always asked me about it, and now that she's here, I said, why don't you just come along, just bring the guest day. It's a good time to meet everyone else and see what we're all about. So, my mother.
Thank you, Mom. Is that it? Good. Thank you, Bob. That's it? Okay. Thanks, everybody, for bringing guests. Really important. 50-50 tickets are being circulated around the room. A single ticket is drawn at the end of the meeting to determine the winner. One half of the proceeds go to the club. The rest goes to the lucky winner. Please place your lunch tickets on the table in front of you for your waiter to collect. And please remember at this time to turn off your cell phones. They may not be used here in the California Club. Thank you very much. Day at the races. As a reminder to those of you lucky enough to have tickets to the sold out Day at the races, it will be held a week from Sunday. Way to go. February 24th at Santa Anita, the Great Race Place, Racetrack in Arcadia. The first post is 12:30 p.m. Please contact Denny Dons if you have any questions. We have one meeting today. Board of Directors will meet in room 204 on the second floor immediately following our lunch program. It is back to you, President Jim.
Thank you, Alan. Last Friday, I was very proud and privileged to represent all of you and our wonderful Rotary Club of Los Angeles as we presented a very successfully and very professionally produced City of Los Angeles mayoral debate at the JW Marriott at LA5. A very special thank you and bravo goes to our Vice Chair of Programs and the event's executive producer, our own Arthur Cassell. As you may know, or may not know, Arthur worked very hard for many weeks with the committee, all of the committee, but Arthur certainly took a lead securing the candidates, most of our sponsors, and particularly our presenting sponsor, and filling many tables with visiting guests and dignitaries. We couldn't have done this without you, Arthur, and I'm in your gratitude, in your debt. I'd also like to especially thank our event producer, Eric Weiss of Honey Sweet Productions, and our public relations and media team leaders, Rick Gibson and John Lockhart, for contacting the press, producing event promotional materials, an LA Business Journal ad, which I hope you saw, the very professionally produced printed program, thank you, and much, much more. They are here today at the head table to receive special presidential citations, which I will present to them shortly. I would also like to thank Javier Cano, General Manager of the JW Marriott, and his team for a perfect venue. Javier. Extra appreciation goes to our own Executive Director and Executive Administrator, John Gibby and Jennifer Gregg, who worked so hard coordinating all the efforts and working very long hours. Thanks to the Debate Planning Committee and to all my fellow LA5 Rotarians who attended, purchased, or sponsored tables, invited your friends, colleagues, and prospective Rotarians to attend. I received many compliments and congratulations on behalf of the team and our club. Your hard work made me so proud to be a Rotarian and honored to serve as your president of LA5. Would the debate planning team please stand and be recognized? Bravo. Thank you all. Most importantly, thank you to our sponsors. Presenting sponsor, Intercoast College. Event sponsors, Target Corporation, the Annenberg Foundation, and the JW Marriott Los Angeles. Debate sponsors, Northridge Hospital, Medical Center, Honey Sweet Productions, and Levine Communications, and to our many, many table sponsors. Would Arthur Cassell, Eric Weiss, Rick Gibson, and John Lockhart, if he's here, please join me at the rostrum for a special presentation. Thank you, Arthur, Eric, Rick, for your countless hours of service and dedication to our club and community. You truly epitomize service above self. I'm going to now present each of you with the 2012-2013 President's Citation. First, to Arthur Cassell, Vice Chair of Programs and Executive Producer of the debate. Thank you, Arthur. And to Eric Weiss, President of Honey Sweet Productions and Event Producer for the mayoral debate. Thank you so much for such a professional production. Absolutely. And finally, but not least, Rick Gibson, co-chair of our Public Relations Committee, who really went above and beyond while traveling to produce the very professional promotional events and program. Thank you so much for your help. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Would Jim Hoyt, Principal, Producers Group International, please now join me at the rostrum. Jim, thanks so much for being our program sponsor. I'm always fascinated at how much traveling you do, and yet you're almost always here. I'm excited to hear about what you do and learn more about your business. Thank you, sir.
Well, on June 30th, it will be 20 years since I joined LA5. That's hard to believe. Most people don't know me because I've very seldom been here on Friday. I make up all over the U.S., Canada, Puerto Rico, England, and Spain, where I teach seminars. I'm often introduced as a motivational speaker, and that's a great, I suppose that is a very nice thing to be called. However, that's not what I do. I believe there are three basic things that human beings must need to be successful, and this is what I teach. Number one is professional skills. You must be very, very good at your craft, whatever that is. It's either a printer or a doctor or a lawyer or a business person, and I don't teach that. USC and UCLA and all the other schools do that. I do teach the other two. Number one, how do I get me to do what I need to do when I don't want to do it? It's cold outside, I don't feel like it, I'm not motivated, I'm scared, I'm out of my comfort zone. What do I do to get me to do it anyway, and even want to do it? And the other is, how do I deal with other human beings? And that's what I'm going to tell you about today because I have very limited time. So I thought the way I would do that is to ask, does anyone here have your books on the shelf at home in alphabetical order or tallest to shortest? And you put them that way. You like things organized, Janet? You like things organized? Do you like things organized? Really loud. If people are late, does that bother you? If people break rules, does that bother you? Yes? If I look down the hall and see your closet, is it organized? Blouses, pants, pantsuits, dresses, and formals? Long sleeve, separated, short sleeve? Long sleeve, red, blue, pink, green, yellow. Short sleeve, red, blue, pink, green, yellow? You'll be doing that at midnight because that's a great idea. How many full-time jobs have you had in your life since high school or college? 3? Full-time jobs. 3? Very good. Huh? 2. If I asked, could you do this job for me by 10 o'clock tonight? I'll bet it will be done by 10, maybe 9:30, but I never have to check on you. If you say you'll do it, it's done because you see yourself as a responsible person. True? Very good. Last question. Do you have all your coffee cups with the handles turned to the right? Yes. Good. That's 100%. I bet most people can't do that. Now, why is that important? Well, if you're in sales, it's nice to know what your prospects think. And there are 4 basic types of people. I don't have the time to do it with all 4. By the way, I have been gone because I've spoken to about just over 320,000 people for 45 minutes to an hour to convince them to come to a seminar where they will pay and sit for 8 hours, and I've had about just over 120,000 do that. So that's pretty good. And they come to learn, how do I communicate better? Because as I do what I'm about to do, I want you to think about your spouse, your kids, people you work with. Stability people like stability, structure, safety, security, neat, clean, and organized. They have a motto. We just saw when she said yes to everything. The motto for S's is, these are the rules. You will follow these rules and you will enjoy. Yeah? And if you break the rules, they take you out. Theory people, just think of engineers, computer people. They love learning and knowledge and competence. Can't stand stupid people like you and me. Because only 12% of the U.S. Canadian population is theory, and they love learning. Engineer, computer people, PhDs, they love competence and learning. Action people want to be free. Don't tell me what to do. I am a stud. I will kill for this contest, whatever it may be. I like the big house, the big car, the bling bling, belong to the club. No, not the club, because I am a stud. Would you like to kiss my ring? Those are the A's. Relationship people of people, children, and causes. They are not money motivated. They are not contest motivated. They are I love helping people motivated. So, when you have a contest at your office for salespeople and you hold up a t-shirt, here's what it looks like in the real world. Whoever wins the contest gets a t-shirt. The A's are going, don't even try to beat me, dude. No one beats me. I will kill for that t-shirt. I am a stud. The engineers, the T's, are going, I can get that same t-shirt at Walmart for $1.98. God deliver me from idiots. The stability people, very thrifty. They're going, wow, if I could win that t-shirt, I could save $1.98 at Walmart. And they will kill the A's to save $2. Relationship people are not in the contest. They're going, I'm just not in the contest, but I really would hope to help you win. What could I do to help you win? If you hug me, I will help you. So, S's tend to marry A's. That's stability and action. They tend to marry each other. She loves rules, he hates rules. She's on time, he's late. Her car is neat, his looks like Ronald McDonald lives in the back seat, it's so trashed. She has a desk that's neat, his desk looks like a tornado hit it. So when they get married, you basically have a warden, these are the rules, married to a pig. This is so you remember it, do not be upset. Okay, this is why people remember things. Most A's can't spell, so they don't take notes, so I have to do it so they remember it. The other thought about husbands and wives that get married, who is S and A, he's an A, she's an S, and they come home from their honeymoon and she says, sweetheart, you're the best man a woman could possibly marry. By the way, darling, your underwear does not go in the middle of the bedroom floor. It goes in the dirty clothes basket. Love ya. About a month later, she says, hey, I look like a freaking maid. I'm not your mother, pal. Get your underwear off the floor. A's hate being reprimanded. He picks up his underwear, slings them across the room, puts them on a doorknob and says, well, they're not on the floor. Are you happy? T's tend to marry R's. That's engineers married to, well, that's Einstein married to Mother Teresa. All emotion, all logic. So when they get married, about 2 years later, she goes, I swear to goodness, you are so cold, I touch you, my finger froze. And he says, here's $1, honey, buy a brain. Now, I had a man tell me, he told his wife that. I didn't make that up. I said, boy, I bet there wasn't a lot of loving around the house that week. See, R's have brains, they just don't use them logically. They're intuitive. So the last thing I'll tell you is probably the best message I ever had left on my answering service. It was left on my cell phone. And I played it all over the place for 2 years. I hit a button one day and erased it. Here's what it said. Jim Hoyt, this is from the home of Bill and Annette Martin in Effingham, Illinois. We came to your seminar. We weren't coming, but we came because my husband's vice president insisted we go. He's also in our Sunday school class. He knows we've been married and we have marital problems. We've been married 11 years. We've been marriage counseling 11 years. And my vision of that is they came home from the honeymoon going, boy, did we screw up. However, we decided we're not going to get divorced. We just determined to stay together. We just live in misery. There are topics that we talk about that we scream at each other. We just don't talk about them. So we've been to 50-plus sessions of marriage counseling at $75 a session, and still we can't talk about certain topics. We go to your seminar. By the way, he found out he's a very TS, that's a very dictatorial engineer. And she is a free spirit. They are fun-loving, but butterfly-chasing, granola-crunching tree hugger. And they got married. And she said, we go to your seminar, and for the first time in our married life on the way home, we talked about any topic without screaming. By the way, my husband has been calling our teenage son, saying our teenage son for the last few weeks has been saying our teenage son is retarded. He's not retarded, he's just like his mother. That's hilarious. So let me leave you with this thought, and that would be that the people who sometimes are teachers tend to be, well, 4th through 12th grade, tend to be stability people. They love rules and structure and order. That's 38% of the world. 12% are the theory types, the engineers. That leaves half. 38% are action people like me. By the way, you're not just one, you're all four. I'm an A, then an R, then a T, then an S. So 38% of the world is like me, and 12% are relationship types. I wonder if you have a teacher who's shoving rules down kids' throats, and these kids, 38% of them are free spirits who don't want to be told what to do, and they're bored to tears anyway because maybe you don't understand their 4 basic learning styles, I would wonder if maybe they drop out of school. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Thanks for helping us to to get a better understanding of your firm and your presentation and how we might do business with you. As you know, one of our four-way tests is to do this side, do business with a Rotarian. I think I know that by now. With Jeff Silberman, attorney, King, Holmes, Paterno, and Berliner, LLP, and Paul Netzel, past RI director, past district governor, past LA5 president, and member of the very important nominating committee for the selection of the next president of Rotary International. Please join me at the rostrum. As you know, sponsoring a new member is part of LA5's four-way test, this way. And I'm very pleased to introduce a new member today. Thank you, Paul, for sponsoring Jeff into our club. Jeff, please take a minute to tell us about yourself and why you chose to join LA5.
All right. Thank you. Well, I first came across the Rotary Club when I was about 9 years old. I was playing Little League in Mount Vernon, New York for the 369th Veterans Association, and we played the Rotary Club team, and I'm proud to say we beat them. Went on to win the championship. But cutting to the chase, last year a good friend and a client of mine named Bob Pope, who was a very active Rotarian in Atlanta, started talking to me about everything he was doing, and I got really intrigued. And, he was kind enough to introduce me to Paul, who invited me to come down here, and here I am now. So I guess it just goes to show you, you can beat them and also join them. You know, I guess what really drew me into the club is, like you all, I really am very committed to being of service to our community. In my case, I'm particularly interested in matters of social justice, economic empowerment, and education. And I'm hoping along the way, as we serve, I'll also make new friends. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, and welcome to LA5. Your sponsor will now pin you with the distinguishing Rotary pin won by 1.3 million Rotarians in 34,000 Rotary clubs in over 200 countries worldwide. And I will now present you with this certificate. Congratulations. Please give a warm round of applause. Thank you. Yeah. It's on the other page of my script. I got back. Now I would like to invite DJ Sun, District 5280, Future Vision Transition Team, fundraising group leader, to the podium. DJ will be making a district simplified grant check presentation to our club in support of our Angel City giveaway that we supported last December. Would Marjorie Heller, co-chair of the giveaway, and Dr. Carmen Estrada Shea, chair of the Grants Review Committee, please join me at the rostrum to accept the check from DJ. And while you're coming up, DJ is going to take just a minute or two and say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you all. It's my pleasure to be here to meet many of my friends, and especially for the check. And the check is part of DDF money. Whatever we donate to the foundation, 50% of money come back to as a district designated fund. And this is part of district designated fund. And remaining half of them stay in the old fund. And whenever we do matching grant work for international projects, they gave 100% match what DDF fund toward to our international project. There's two significant projects going on in our community right now. One is for South Park project for Rotary Day of Service, April 6th. The over 200 Rotarians will volunteer to rehab the park and community center. Your Rotarian, Mariska and Marjorie, are the main Rotarians who are doing this. And $60,000 budget project, $35,000 coming from city, $25,000 are coming from matching grant. Guess what? Our partner from South Korea put up $6,000 their DDF fund for this. The World Fund from Foundation matched 100% of $6,000. That turned to be $12,000. And our district put up $5,500. The World Fund put up another $5,500 matching. So that's $11,000. The $23,000 covered by our $25,000 through DDF. So your contribution foundation is very, very important because the money comes back to us in 3 years. We can make this wonderful project. Thank you. I'm going to present this check to committee member.
To Marjorie. Thank you, DJ. Please express our appreciation to Governor Liu, past District Governor David Moyers, and the entire district leadership team for their support of this important initiative. And now, please welcome Bob Donahue, founder and executive director, SOS Mentor, and director of club service to the rostrum, who will provide an overview of this year's opportunities for service on this year's scholarship committee, which is coming up. Bob?
Thank you, and I'm just really happy to be here today representing the Scholarship Committee. Normally, Alan Bernstein would be here telling you all of the great things that the Scholarship Committee does. This is one of the premier activities, I believe, in the LA5 Club. Every year, we are able to, through foundation funds and so forth, and contributions from members, to give scholarships to high school seniors to help pay for their college education. This year we have $118,000 available for those scholarships. And what I'm here to announce today is that we need some good men and women to join that committee. The committee actually starts next Friday with a general orientation on February 22nd. We'll have a meeting right after this one, and the meeting will be, Alan told me it cannot be longer than 30 minutes, so we are programmed now to do that next Friday. The general orientation will talk about how the scholarship is going to work this year, the schools involved and so forth. We also have follow-up meetings from February 22nd. Those meetings, these are very important dates, and they're actually on our district website. March 7th is the sorting of applications day, and that's Thursday at the Braille Institute. We have a number of people signed up already, and we have a number of people signed up for April 11th, which is the actual interview day where we interview students who we select at the screening day to follow up with a face-to-face interview. So again, if you're interested in belonging to a great committee, and this is especially for some of you new people to the club, come and join us. The Scholarship Committee is a great experience. It's a chance to look at some of the finest students that are produced in LA, the general LA area, LAUSD being a big partner. And we have a lot of students, data to look at, personal interview, and the final culminating event will be May 17th, where we have the superintendent of schools, John Daisy, in here as a speaker, and he will talk about some of the achievements of some of the students that we'll select for the scholarship. So join us. You can go to the website and sign up for all of these dates. Again, February 22nd is the most important day, next Friday. A half-hour meeting, Alan said. And then May 17th, or March 7th, will be at the Braille Institute, and that's from 8:30 to about 11:30. The interview day will be April 11th, 8:30 to 11:30, and the luncheon then May 17th. So join us. It's a great committee. I encourage you to be involved. Thank you.
It is now my privilege to introduce John Miller, Vice Chancellor of Pepperdine University. John, thank you for securing my friend Carl as a speaker, and yours, and many of us actually. Please take a few minutes to introduce us to Carl.
Thank you, President Jay. Our theme today is vocational service. And in Rotary, when we speak of vocational service, first of all, we talk about the importance of building ethics and values into the conduct of our business as exemplified by the Rotary four-way test. We also talk about how for Rotarians, the work that we do is more than a way to make money. It's actually a way by which we can serve and impact society. If you were to ask me, John, who in the world most exemplifies Rotary's ideals of vocational service, the very first name that would come to my mind would be Carl Terzian. Carl is a native Angelino, born and bred in Hollywood. He went to college at the University of Southern California, where he was student body president and graduated Phi Beta Kappa. In fact, Carl was named one of the 10 most outstanding student leaders in America. Following graduation, Carl served as an international goodwill ambassador for President Dwight D. Eisenhower and Secretary of State John Foster Dulles, as Director of Public and Church Relations for the Lutheran Hospital Society of Southern California, as Civic Affairs Consultant to the California Savings and Loan Industry, and then as Dean and Professor of Government and Speech at Woodbury University. But then in 1965, Carl joined the internationally renowned architectural firm Charles Luckman Associates to handle its public relations. And after 4 years there, it was Charles Luckman himself who encouraged Carl to leave the company to start Carl's own firm, Carl Terzian Associates, and on May 1st, that firm will begin its 44th year. Congratulations, Carl. During this time, Carl has assisted more than 4,500 causes, companies, individuals, and organizations. He derives virtually all of his clients by referral, and Carl is perhaps best known for orchestrating more than 800 networking events each year, which many of you, I'll bet, have attended, for placing and mentoring nearly 500 board members annually, and for tithing his talent and profits for community interests. Carl has been a member of his beloved Hope Lutheran Church in Hollywood for more than 60 years. He's been a national officer of his denomination, a founder of California Lutheran University in Thousand Oaks. He has been recognized for civic, philanthropic, and professional leadership by Congress, by Her Majesty the Queen of England, California Assembly, the California State Senate, the County and City of Los Angeles. He is supported and loved at home by his wife Joan and his children Jim and Charlotte. Carl Terzian, most of all, is a true friend to all. Please join me in welcoming Carl Terzian.
Thank you very much, John, and the men and women of LA5 for inviting me to return to your podium. I'm old enough that I can tell you that many years ago in the early 60s, as I was building my career in public relations, I was invited to address a group in the ballroom of the Statler Hilton Hotel, Wilshire and Figueroa. It was called LA Rotary. Many times since then, I have had the privilege of speaking to this club and of other Rotary clubs throughout the world. It's very special to me as an outsider who feels he's on the inside and who admires you because you still believe in a four-way test to invite Terzian back to see good friends once again. I think a little bit about that opportunity, not only to have been a part of your club as speaker way back when, but several years ago, my firm was invited to help the world know of your 75th anniversary as we did public relations for that. And I think a little bit about Dale Click. When I was elected to the National Board of the Lutheran Church, he extended his hand and congratulated me. When I helped found Cal Lutheran University 53 years ago at Thousand Oaks, he extended his hand and thanked me and congratulated me. When my children went to the Lutheran elementary school at 6 near Vermont, where he was very influential, his hand went out once again to congratulate me. The power of the handshake has meant so much to me as I try to perfect it in my own life. And I know to all of you, or you wouldn't be a part of LA Rotary. So Dale is in my prayers as he is in yours. As I was thinking about what to say this afternoon, my mind wandered back to my alma mater. My father went to SC, School of Pharmacy. My mother worked at USC. I was there on scholarship. And it was not always to be assured that I would be at SC. I had a father from the old country of Armenia who was very serious, not a comedian, you have to remember that, who said when I went to Hollywood High School, your mom and dad and I want you very much to go to USC. However, we can't afford it, so you should know up front, if you don't make good grades at Hollywood High, and don't get up the very high scores, and don't get a scholarship to go to USC, we will have no choice, reluctantly, but to send you to UCLA. For all the years we have lived under that threat. And, it was done, dad and son, from a handshake. I thought about that USC because we were known then particularly for a lot of things, including baseball. And a very fine young man came out of SC named Bruce Gardner. I thought of him the other day as I drove by Fairfax High School, where he was an outstanding pitcher, where he was an outstanding student officer, an outstanding human being. He was so good in baseball as a pitcher that he was named the outstanding baseball player at the LA City Schools, won 29 games, lost only 4. The universities and colleges all over the country wanted him, and he selected USC. In the first several years, he won one game after another. He was an All-American each of those years. And it came time for a look at professional sports. The LA Dodgers in those days had a farm club in Reno, and we were privileged to represent the Dodgers under Peter O'Malley, who walks on water, in my opinion. And so he got a huge bonus, $20,000 in those years. And he signed with the Dodgers and the Reno club. And in that first year, he lost only 3 games and won near 29. He was an outstanding player. Everybody was interested to see where this young man is, a student body officer and an academic and a lovely human being and a baseball player, was going to go. But during the off-season, Bruce got involved in a pitching accident as his elbows crushed to the ground, and he lost the use of that elbow and thus the end of his baseball career. Bruce Gardner went from city to city and county to county and state to state, all over America, trying to find himself, his sense of focus. It was very difficult because he figured his whole life would center around baseball. And then one day, weather was much like this. It was June of that year. Between the pitcher's mound and second base at Dayton Field at USC, the caretakers found Bruce Gardner, sprawled between that second base and that pitcher's mound on the ground with an SC diploma, with a certificate as an All-American, and with a suicidal note, trying to explain why Bruce Gardner, my little brother when I was student body president, found it necessary to claim his own life. So much of that baseball career was built on a handshake, not simply a contract. And I was reminded once again of the power of the handshake in our personal and professional dealings. When this subject was selected, I reminisced about my life as I get older, of some of the few examples that impressed me about how that handshake came into my life. John asked me to share a little bit of that. By the way, I knew John when he was a minister at a Baptist church in Santa Monica. And we were one of the first to help build Pepperdine. How fortunate Pepperdine is to have John Miller as a part of that management team.
As are we.
And so I know you are. And I still recall when I was a student, undergraduate at USC, a group of students got together and urged me to run for senator at large and then student body president. And they urged me and promised their support and their energy and their knowledge on a handshake. And I was privileged to hold those offices because of that. As secretary to a very well-known architect named Charles Luckman, who in his 30s became the president of Lever Brothers worldwide as the boy wonder of business and became one of the top architects in the world. And asked me to handle his community affairs and his public relations. That was done on a handshake. And after he was acquired in 1969 by a huge conglomerate called the Ogden Corporation in New York, he sat down with me and said, I have sons, Carl, 3 of them. I want you to sort of be the 4th. I want to give you some advice. They've acquired us. You have a chance to go to New York and work for them or to stay with me. I suggest we do neither one. Rather, I'd like you to start your own firm from scratch and do for others what you've done for me. I don't believe you'll need my help, so I will not underwrite your firm and I will not be your client. I wish you'd ask my opinion on both of those. Rather, he said, I'm going to give you 30 days to get out of here on a handshake and begin your very own firm at Wilshire and Western. I was a trembling mess, as you might imagine, not being a businessman. But I will never forget those initial years. I had learned a lot about personal service from my father, who had fled from the old country where much of his family was massacred and got to California eventually. First Fresno, we didn't have, as Armenians, Glendale in those days. And so there he was in Fresno when he was beginning his career on a handshake and came down to Los Angeles. And he became the top fitter in the United States, as his father had been the top fitter in all of Europe, of men's clothes, celebrity men's clothes, because he believed in personal service. And so many of his clients came to our home to be fitted for that suit. There was a boxer named Joe Louis. There was a jazz pianist named Duke Ellington. There was a couple named Joe DiMaggio and his wife, Mrs. DiMaggio. And then there was a guy who came to our house, and Dad said, would you please autograph a baseball for my son? I would like it very much as a remembrance of this day and because of all the character qualities you had. And so the man said, of course, I'm happy, Henry, give me a baseball and I'll autograph. And so there it was, as it is in our den today. Best wishes, Carl. Babe Ruth. And I thought of all of that done basically as my dad did personal service till he passed. And that was always done on a handshake. I remember when I finally had a chance to start my firm, a group of 8 men living in Hancock Park said, we believe in you. This was the beginning of the Jimmy Carter years where the economy was so bad, we said, we'll never let it be like this again. Of course, we lived up to that, didn't we? And these men said, we will loan you $50,000 and we want you to start your firm and we will serve on your board of directors until we feel that you no longer need us and then the firm is yours again. And the men all stood side by side and each of us shook our hand on a handshake. The first year went by and the second and the third and the fourth, and at the end of the 5th, they said, the firm really ought to be yours. You're doing it all, so we will take you across the street to the Bank of America at Wilshire and Western, and we will vouch for you, and you can get the money and you can repay us. It's very tough to get a loan in those days. 22% interest, you had to turn over your firstborn to the branch manager, you had to turn over all of your accounts to him, and a couple of $100,000 life insurance policy with a B of A as a recipient, all for a $50,000 loan. And I said, okay, I'd like to have the $50,000. The men will vouch for me, and the branch manager said, oh, Carl, it's not $50,000. You have 5 years worth of interest on top of that you're going to have to pay off and live with. And before he could finish the sentence, the chairman of that board, of our board, who was an heir apparent to the presidency of Chrysler, said, no, we want him simply to give back to $50,000. The interest he would have paid us is our belief, along with our handshake, that his firm will make it. And I still remember that. And I also remember the very first client we had, Norris Industries. Mr. Norris had his company in Vernon. He was an industrialist. He was chairman of the board of USC. And he and his son, Ken Jr., came to me and said, we'd like you to guide our philosophical, our political, our community activities. And I said I would. And he said, now let's see, we can afford $2,000 a month for 1 year. And my other client, Lou Wolf, who now owns the Oakland Athletics, paid us $800 a month. You add that up, it was $2,800 a month for the first year. At the end of the 4th month of serving Norris Industries and guiding their involvement, we got that call that all consultants worry about. First they invite you to the office, and then they begin by complimenting you on what a great job you have done. And that they will always recommend you elsewhere, and that you are solely unique in what you do, Carl. And then there is that pause. And the pause is followed by but, or however, or both. And I got them. But, said Ted Jr., we just don't have the time for this program. Dad has to work with his work at USC and his industrial work. You're doing a fine job, but I guess we were overreaching when we thought we could do this program. And so we have to stop. Now, I can assure you it's embarrassing to watch a grown man cry. But I saw my whole business going from $2,800 a month to only $800 and near bankruptcy. And then Ken looked at me and said, well, we used the 4 months times 2, that's $8,000. And we would have had 8 more months at $2,000 left. And he thought for a moment and said, you're very special, you know? Here's my check for the remaining 8 months. Wow. I said, Ken, I need it, but I can't take it if I don't earn it. He said we had a handshake, didn't we? That we would do 1 year, and this is our full-time responsibility. And I said, I need the money, but if you don't call on me, I will not take it. He said, if we call on you and you don't bother us otherwise, would you do it? And I said, of course. And so I got 3 calls in 8 months. But I also got those 8 months on a handshake. And on a handshake, one of the things we were privileged to do was to launch at USC the Norris Cancer Center. How proud I am of that center, which 8 years ago saved my life and the life of others who have been involved with cancer. All done on a handshake. I will always remember those examples and others. I recall when a mayor named Tom Bradley called me up and said, I'd like to name him to the Fire Commission. And his colleague said, oh, wait a minute. You're white and he's black. You're a Republican, he's a Democrat. There's so many things different between you, Tom, and Carl. Why are you doing it? He said, well, on a handshake, I believe this man would be a good commissioner for our city. And I want all of my commissioners to be that way. And in all the years I served on the commission, never a call once from Tom asking for a vote. The handshake was good enough for a relationship between 2 men. And then I recall when I became the Goodwill Ambassador for President Eisenhower around the world, the first stop was Fiji. As I got off the plane, the military commander of Fiji extended his hand and said, welcome to Fiji. We always enjoy having Americans here. As a matter of fact, I'm part American myself. I said, really? He said, yes, many, many years ago, a Christian missionary came to Fiji and was eaten by my great-grandfather. And he said, and your heritage has been in my blood. And then I recall when the weather was not like it is today, when it was pouring rain. The city was almost flooded underwater. And all of a sudden, at 6 o'clock in the morning, our doorbell rang, and there was Oscar. Oscar had come across, he was our pool man, had come across to check the pool because he was worried the water was going to overflow throughout the area and would be flooded, and we would worry about it. And he wanted to assure us it could be taken care of, that it was constructed so it would not overflow, we would not have to worry about it. And so in that torrential rain, Oscar came across driving his own car from Oxnard to Holmby Hills at age 91. And he said, the reason I'm doing it, we had a handshake between you as my customer and me as the consultant. Oh, there's so many stories, I'll leave you with the final. I'm part Texan. You wouldn't know it otherwise, but I am. Because when I was student body president at USC, we played the University of Texas in Austin. It's always exciting to play them in Austin because when their team gets within the 20-yard line, the stands all stand up and shout and begin to scream, the eyes of Texas are upon you. And they keep doing that until they score. But halfway during the game, the governor then, Alan Shearers, invited 2 of us to come out to the 50-yard line and be named honorary Texan. Now, I'm not upset that you don't remember that I was one of the 2. I barely remember it myself. But the other one, Jane Mansfield, was honored for reasons other than the reasons that I thought. But as part of what Governor Shivers did was extend the Texas hand to a Southern California. You know, I'm very, very impressed with the value of that handshake. No one is suggesting the absence of contracts or definitive written agreements or formal pieces of paper or legal advice. We need all of that. And I'm not suggesting that everything that we do today has to be done without legal help, but only with a handshake. Rather, I am suggesting that there is a certain power of the handshake that goes along with everything we ought to be doing today. Because what the handshake really represents is a sign of our character as human beings, of our loyalty, of our honesty, of our trust, of our compassion, of our selflessness, of our strength, of our reliability, of our humility, of our faith, all wrapped up in that handshake. I'm in the business, along with probably some others here in Rotary, in imagery. And we do all kinds of things in public relations to convey your image. We look at electronic and print media and public speaking and community involvement and special events. We look at networking, at charitable giving, at graphics, at community involvement, at public recognition, of personal communications. They're all important to tell your story, but they all begin with the character of the individual, or the cause, or the company that makes it what it is. The journey of our image really begins with who you are, expressed with a very simple handshake that says who you have become over time, and what we should do with that in terms of serving others. The handshake powers the very being that all of us may be, and makes us very special. So this week, during Valentine's Day, and as we think about President's Day in a few days and the character of those people who made this country what it is, from its infancy and its colonies, we think of the character traits that make us special. And they begin with the handshake and all of the traits that made that handshake powerful. Yes, I often think about that. I think about it when I go to Boston once in a while, where we've had clients in the past. And I recall that very cold, snowy, wintry day when I was there servicing the client. And our client then said, well, it's time to go. Let's head for Logan Airport, and off we went. The weather was so bad, as it was recently, well, I thought we would never get out of there. As we were racing to the airport, all of a sudden, the client said, wait a minute, we have a moment or two. Let's stop for a moment. There's an elementary school that I would like to visit. And I was worried and perspiring because we have to catch that plane and I have to get to Southern California. But as you know, clients are always correct. And so when the client made that suggestion, the car stopped by and we went up to the 3rd floor where there was a 5th grade class. I've spoken often of it, for I've never forgotten it. The door opened and I walked in, a class of about 35, and the teacher extended her hand. It said, Mr. Terzian, we always enjoy having people from California come and visit us here in the classroom in Boston. She said, I'm usually an extravagant person in terms of my personality and my vivaciousness, but today I'm a little somber. And I'm somber because a few days ago I turned to the little ones in this class and I gave them an assignment. And I asked them to fulfill the assignment and turn their papers in today, and they came in just a few minutes ago. I'd like you to take a look at them. And so I began to look at those papers, particularly the one on top. I've always remembered that one. It's consisted of 6 simple words that have been reprinted all over the world, over and over again. It is the basis of any handshake from one human being to another. The only difference in my life was that I was there and I met that little girl. And by the way, all of those young people had mental issues. They were a hell of a lot less better off than we are today. Yet this little girl looked in the mirror, thought about herself, realized the things that make character an important item in success in personal and professional life, got out a crayon and wrote on a piece of paper, I'm good. God doesn't make junk. I'm good, said she. God doesn't make junk. I have thought so often about that little girl and where she is, and the handshakes that she must have extended over the years to where she is today. During this afternoon, the name of Mother Teresa was mentioned by a previous speaker. I think about the power of the handshake she had in her philosophy of life. People are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, alternative motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true friends. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous, but be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Be good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough, but give the world the best you have anyway. I don't really have to tell this to Rotarians. I have addressed your clubs all over this country, and I'm extremely so proud of what came out of Evanston, Illinois. I'm proud of the times I've been able to speak to Rotary clubs and help or recommend people like Carl Schmidt, who's here today, into the Rotary Club of Los Angeles. I'm proud of knowing people like Jay and have represented his company, Wilmington Trust, and his very strong Christian faith. I'm very proud of all of you that have made Los Angeles what it is because you're a part of number 5. And I think that today when we see the problems the world has and what we have domestically and the challenges our city now has as we select mayor and others in my native-born Los Angeles, that in invoking the power of the handshake and all the character traits that make that handshake honest and real and believable makes me feel good about the future of our beloved city, about the months and the years to come. As someone once said, what you are speaks so loudly I can't hear what you're saying. I'm very proud for who you are and what you say because you have impacted so many others beyond your measure, because I think most of you literally, figuratively, ideologically have begun and furthered your lives and your careers with a handshake. Thank you.
In honor of your presentation. Thank you very much, Lord. Carl, I may have mentioned this in one of our meetings, but the theme of my year has been to help veterans. So in your honor, for speaking today, a $1,000 donation will be made to assist homeless veterans with food and shelter, substance abuse treatment, job training, and care. Thank you very much. Let's now welcome Club Secretary Alan Bernstein, who's filling in for Paul St. John. He'll tell us about next week's program. Alan?
Thanks again, President Jay. Paul St. John is not here, so I did want to introduce next week's speaker to you. This gentleman was a Navy deck officer at the Vietnam Tonkin Gulf incident. He also marched with Martin Luther King, and if you march across the street to the Jonathan Club, you'll see a book about the history of the Jonathan Club written by our speaker next week. He's written for the Wall Street Journal. He's written for the LA Times, Reader's Digest. He's appeared as a stand-up comic. And he also was the PR strategist for the Gold Line from Los Angeles, the light rail to Pasadena. Our speaker next week is Nat B. Reed, a Pasadena Rotarian, so please be sure to join us.
And now, in addition to today's 50-50 drawing, we will also select a business card from one of our guests to receive this bottle of wine. Carl, if you'll choose a card, please. Ben Turner will now read the card, and it looks like, oh, I don't know, Jim Goyser.
Wait a minute.
Well, that's a little fixed. Jim, come on up. Congratulations. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. Ben is also President and CEO of Forensic Investigation Technical Services. Will tell us how much our 50-50 drawing winner will receive today. Let's get that right.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. $114.
$114. And
tickets are much larger. If you notice, that's so we can read the numbers clearly.
let's see. This feels like a good one. They are much larger. I'm not going to lose that. 055-0147. Oh, Vince, come on up. You do this?
Yes. Thank you.
In closing, thank you, Carl, for being our distinguished speaker. Congratulations and welcome to our newest member, Jeff Silberman.
And it's his birthday.
And happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you to Jim Hoyt for being today's program sponsor. Thank you to LJ Rivera, Vice President of Business Development with Buxom Power US, for being our welcome room sponsor, hosting our wine and sparkling water for today's hosted guests. Thank you to Tony Medley for taking our photos, and thank you to all our guests for joining us today. In closing, a quote from Daniel Borston: "Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some hire public relations officers." This meeting is adjourned.